There is a small moment many dog owners notice, yet almost no one understands what it means. A female dog does not rush forward or make noise. There is no sudden reaction or dramatic response. Instead, movement slows. Distance closes quietly. She positions herself near the doorway or settles beside you without seeking touch. At times, presence is the only signal, calm and watchful. Most people label this behavior as routine, attachment, or chance. That explanation feels reasonable, but it misses what is actually happening. Research in canine behavior shows dogs rely less on outward reaction and more on emotional regulation and environmental safety. Female dogs often manage uncertain moments by staying present rather than acting out. This is not training or obedience at work. It is a quiet signal that rarely feels important until understanding shifts. If learning how dogs communicate without noise interests you, consider subscribing. To understand this moment, attention must turn to why it appears so unremarkable at first glance. Why this behavior looks too small to matter. Human attention is naturally drawn toward action. Noise, movement, and visible reaction signal importance in the human brain. Stillness rarely does. Dogs do not communicate value through performance or urgency, and that difference is where misunderstanding begins. Some of the most meaningful canine behaviors appear uneventful on the surface. No movement breaks the moment. No sound demands attention. Nothing interrupts the flow of the room. A female dog remaining nearby instead of reacting outwardly fails to register as significant because it does not announce itself. Many owners assume habit, comfort, or coincidence simply because nothing obvious happens afterward. Yet dogs do not show care through explanation or display. Care is expressed through regulation. What appears to be inactivity is often an effort to keep the emotional environment stable. Balance is maintained rather than disrupted. Calm is preserved rather than repaired. That kind of effort does not call attention to itself. It does not interrupt tasks or pull focus away from daily routines. Presence remains quiet and contained, doing exactly what it is meant to do. Humans associate importance with visible change, so behaviors designed to prevent change are easy to overlook. The absence of escalation feels meaningless when viewed through a human lens. In reality, preventing escalation requires constant internal work. The lack of drama is not evidence of insignificance. It is proof that the behavior has already done its job. Once that shift in perspective occurs, the moment begins to look less empty and more deliberate. What's happening in her body before you notice anything? From a canine perspective, awareness begins in the body long before conscious recognition occurs. Subtle shifts in the environment are constantly monitored. Changes in sound patterns, breathing rhythms, posture, and movement are processed automatically. Much of that information never reaches conscious awareness, yet the nervous system responds all the same. Female dogs frequently answer early signals by slowing down rather than speeding up. Slowing allows assessment. Evaluation becomes possible without creating disturbance. Stillness, in this context, is not confusion or uncertainty. It is a form of information gathering. Internal systems are deciding whether the environment feels settled enough for relaxation or whether alert availability is required. No obvious signal marks that internal choice. No external cue announces that a decision has been made. The process unfolds quietly, beneath awareness, before any visible movement occurs. By the time proximity becomes noticeable, the body has already categorized the moment as stable but worthy of attention. That classification happens without drama and without conscious planning. Muscles remain loose, breathing stays steady, energy stays contained. The absence of reaction does not mean the absence of response. Regulation happens internally first. Understanding this timing matters because human awareness tends to arrive late. Observation begins only after the body has already adjusted. What looks like a spontaneous choice is often the final step in a longer internal sequence that started well before anyone noticed. The moment she positions herself near you, recall the last time this positioning occurred. No visible problem existed. Nothing felt tense. No unusual event demanded response. Even so, proximity increased. not through pressure or physical contact, not through attention seeking. Placement happened quietly, close enough to remain aware, distant enough to avoid disruption. That positioning is neither guarding nor obedience. Availability defines the purpose. By choosing a nearby location, readiness is maintained without altering a calm atmosphere. Connection stays intact while the environment remains undisturbed. Closeness here does not represent affection in a human sense. Awareness drives the choice. Remaining within range allows response if circumstances shift, while still honoring a stable moment. That balance reflects intention. The decision is subtle because it is designed not to interrupt. Quiet positioning supports calm rather than competing with it. Ordinary appearance hides deliberate assessment. Presence is offered without demand. No interaction is required for the behavior to be complete. From a canine viewpoint, readiness holds value even when nothing unfolds. That value often escapes notice because human interpretation expects visible outcome. Yet the absence of outcome is exactly what indicates success. The choice to remain nearby preserved stability. That contribution goes unnoticed precisely because it worked. Why female dogs often stay close when nothing is wrong. Misinterpretation peaks during calm moments. Many owners believe proximity indicates concern or unease. In many cases, closeness appears because stability already exists. Female dogs often remain nearby to preserve calm rather than restore it. Safety, from that perspective, is something protected proactively rather than repaired after disruption. Presence serves as maintenance. Reaction is unnecessary because prevention is already underway. No intervention follows because none is required. That lack of visible result leads observers to dismiss the behavior as meaningless. Anxiety would produce restlessness, repeated movement, or tension. Quiet proximity, without strain, reflects confidence in the environment. Remaining close is not driven by fear. It is driven by responsibility. Awareness stays active without becoming intrusive. Intervention remains available without becoming necessary. The environment benefits from that restraint. Emotional balance is held steady because someone remains attentive without escalating energy. That contribution often goes unrecognized because nothing dramatic follows. Yet the outcome, continued calm, exists because of that choice. Understanding this reframes proximity from reaction to intention. What feels uneventful on the surface has shaped the entire moment. The difference between watching and worrying. Stillness is frequently mistaken for anxiety, yet the two states differ profoundly. A worried dog struggles to remain settled. Tension shows through posture and movement. Pacing, repeated repositioning, and rigid scanning signal discomfort. Attention feels scattered and urgent. A dog who is watching behaves differently. Muscles remain relaxed. Breathing stays even. Awareness moves gently rather than locking onto fret. Focus exists without fixation. No anticipation of danger drives the body. Connection remains anchored in the present moment. Awareness operates without stress. Calm readiness defines the state. That distinction matters because mislabeling watching as anxiety can lead to unnecessary correction or reassurance, disrupting balance that already exists. When worry takes hold, safety has already slipped. When watching occurs, safety remains intact. Presence supports continuation of that state. Once the difference becomes clear, interpretation shifts. Stillness stops looking passive. Intention becomes visible. The behavior reveals purpose without needing explanation. Recognition changes response, allowing calm to remain undisturbed, exactly as intended. If noticing the subtle ways dogs show trust matters to you, you may want to subscribe. Why this shows up more often in female dogs. Careful wording matters here. This pattern is not about what male dogs cannot do. Male dogs are fully capable of awareness, presence, and calm response. The difference lies in how care is most often expressed. Many female dogs respond to change by stabilizing the environment rather than interrupting it. Action is delayed. Energy stays contained. Emotional continuity becomes the priority. Instead of escalating a moment, balance is preserved. This response is not dominance and it is not submission. It reflects responsibility. a quiet form of responsibility that does not seek control, attention, or acknowledgement. The goal is not to manage others, but to hold the emotional tone steady, so disruption never becomes necessary. This pattern appears more frequently in female dogs because regulation is often how care moves through the body. Strength and intelligence are not the drivers here. Expression is. Maintaining calm without announcing effort requires sensitivity to subtle shifts. Female dogs often carry that sensitivity inward rather than outward. Presence becomes the response. Space is held rather than reshaped. That is why proximity without action appears again and again, not as habit, not as instinct alone, but as a natural way care takes form. When this behavior becomes personal, over time, many female dogs begin orienting attention around a single emotional reference point within the home. Loud voices do not attract that focus. High energy rarely anchors it. Rewards alone do not sustain it. Consistency does. From her internal perspective, consistency has little to do with schedules. Emotional predictability matters far more. The rhythm of movement, tone of voice, and pace of daily actions become familiar markers. When that rhythm shifts, even slightly, internal awareness registers the change. Words may remain the same. Nothing obvious alerts the room. Still, her body notices. Adjustment follows quietly. Distance closes. Movements soften. Availability increases. This shift does not come from worry or dependence. Alignment explains it better. She remains close to stay in sync with the emotional state that anchors the environment. That anchor feels stable, familiar, and trustworthy. Staying nearby supports that balance. From this viewpoint, closeness has little to do with attachment as humans define it. It is a response to alignment. Presence maintains harmony. The choice appears ordinary on the surface, yet it reflects an ongoing decision shaped by connection and trust. The real reason and why it melts your heart. Here is what often goes unnoticed. When a female dog stays close, expectation is absent. No praise is anticipated. No reassurance is requested. Attention is not the goal. Presence does not function as an exchange. Nothing is being offered in return for recognition. From a bodily standpoint, staying available feels like responsibility accepted quietly. Emotional safety within the shared space becomes something she has taken ownership of without instruction. Training did not create that role. Enforcement did not assign it. Connection allowed it to emerge naturally. Remaining nearby supports balance before imbalance appears. This choice happens without ceremony. No acknowledgement is required. No guidance is expected. Even when the moment passes unnoticed, the decision remains. That is what softens the heart. This is not instinct alone, and it is not loyalty alone. It is responsibility carried gently, without asking to be seen or understood. Safety continues because presence remains. Care does not announce itself. Recognition is optional. Understanding arrives later. Why she doesn't need praise to keep doing it. This pattern continues without reinforcement because it never developed through reward in the first place. Approval is not what sustains it. Correction does not influence it. From her internal perspective, remaining available is not an action performed for feedback. No task is being completed. No result is being monitored. The body settles into a state that feels natural and familiar, guided by comfort rather than expectation. Belonging is not measured through recognition or response. Consistency shapes that feeling. When surroundings remain predictable and emotionally even, presence holds on its own. Attention directed toward the behavior can occasionally interrupt it, not because acknowledgement causes harm, but because motivation does not originate from reaction. Connection is the source. Alignment with the shared space keeps it steady. Staying nearby allows awareness to remain active without pushing the moment toward escalation. That is why the behavior repeats without effort. Days pass. Moments stack quietly. Nothing is being requested in return. No exchange is taking place. Remaining present fits the internal rhythm that guides her sense of safety. Applause serves no purpose here. Validation is not required. Stability, once established, becomes enough to sustain the choice. What this means for you as an owner: no correction is required here. Direction is unnecessary. Trying to turn this quiet moment into something functional or outcome-based often misses its value entirely. When a female dog chooses to settle nearby, the most supportive response is usually restraint, allowing that position to remain undisturbed. Presence in this context is not a signal asking for reassurance, interaction, or validation. A decision has already been made at a bodily level. Letting the moment exist as it is helps reinforce the sense of safety that prompted the behavior in the first place. Consistency matters more than response. Predictable surroundings allow balance to hold without effort. This does not mean disconnecting or withholding affection. It means avoiding sudden engagement that shifts the emotional tone. Many dogs settle more fully when quiet choices are respected without commentary. No feedback loop is required for this state to continue. Approval is not being sought. Abrupt changes in energy or attention can unsettle what is already working. Over time, moments like this layer quietly on top of one another. Connection forms without instruction. Trust develops without display. The relationship becomes grounded less in cues or commands and more in shared emotional rhythm. Calm becomes mutual. Stability becomes something both sides contribute to, often without noticing when it began. The bottom line, when you start seeing her differently, the next time proximity happens, meaning will shift. The behavior will look the same. Understanding will not. Fear will no longer explain it. Need will not define it. Habit will feel insufficient. Presence tells the story. A quiet choice to stay connected, to help the space remain steady without drawing attention. Once that understanding settles, those moments stop feeling ordinary. Intention becomes visible. Care without performance leaves a lasting impression. If noticing quiet signals of trust resonates with you, this space will feel familiar. Subscribe, and we'll continue exploring what often goes unseen. Once awareness changes, it rarely goes back.